All right, hello everyone. Thanks for having me here in the first place. And though I couldn't understand a lot of the talks today, I hope that you had a very engaging and fruitful day. And I hope I'll also contribute to the discussions today. So I'm a tenure track assistant professor at the University of Copenhagen in Denmark. And I work mostly on problems of natural language processing. Now you know the famous chatbots that have taken the world by storm. And I have been working on them since they have become so faithful and integrated in our everyday life. And I've been working on three main topics. Um, First, looking at the model internals, so we know we train these models that contain so many neurons and mechanisms that we don't really understand. So in the first place, I'm working to look deep into the model internals, do some surgery, and try to understand particular mechanisms, try to find what are the mechanisms that we want or don't want there. For example, mechanisms that allow models to use the context that we provide them. The context here, for example, is information we provide them, information that is retrieved from the internet, everything we provide to these models as input. And I have worked on explainability methods, where I've tried to design different methods that would serve the end user, because interpretability is more for the developers and more for the scientists to understand the model internals and to know how to develop them further. But we also need tools for the end users to understand how the models make their decisions. And I've been also engaged with factuality of models, and you've heard that models nowadays, they have a lot of hallucination. They don't often produce text that is factual at hand. So I'm also very much concerned with language models to be able to produce inputs that we can rely on to be factual. And in today's presentation talk, I want to focus particularly on the explainability part. And I will first start with talking about trustworthiness and transparency, why we need that in the first place, and then discuss some challenges that I think are very important and not discussed sufficiently in regulation discussions these days. So in the first place, we know LLMs are ubiquitous. We use them in daily life. We use them for many applications, and we'll continue increasing the applications they are integrated in. And to address this widespread use of language models, there are a lot of regulations that have come into place. One of them is the European Artificial Intelligence Act that has claimed that when deploying such models, we should focus on transparency of the models, where transparency here means that AI systems are developed and used in a way that allows appropriate traceability and explainability. In essence, what the Artificial Intelligence Act tries to enforce as transparency obligations is threefold. In the first place, we have transparency requirements where we have high-risk AI systems, for example, in health applications. And this is also the main topic of my talk today. We also have transparency obligations for providers of general purpose AI models, developers, for example, we need to provide, in essence, information about how these models are trained, what type of data they are trained, what objectives they are trained for. The third pillar is general transparency rules that are applicable to certain AI systems. For instance, where we have AI tools used to develop deepfakes, we need to, of course, be transparent that there has been an artificial intelligence model involved in the process, and in other applications similarly. But I'll focus mainly on the transparency requirements. When we have high-risk applications, the need to provide actual explanations of how the model reached a particular decision. And beyond regulation, there is, of course, the need for trust calibration. What transparency and explanation as one way to achieve transparency can help us is to provide users with accurate understanding and this way leading to trust in AI. Transparency also helps us to achieve accountability, where the explanations would enable audits and oversight, which is very important, especially with agentic AI models, which could evolve in unforeseeable ways. So we need to be able to provide oversight for them. And of course, once we develop and deploy these models, transparency tools provide us with techniques to identify errors and biases in those models. And of course, enabling the informed decision-making for users. However, what has not been discussed as much is that while explanations also as pointed by these regulation acts as one way to achieve this trustworthiness and transparency, explanations might be plausible, but they could also be false. They could also be manipulated, and while they could look in the first place plausible, and we could believe that the model used such decisions to reach a conclusion, the model could provide reasons that would just sound plausible to us as humans, right? But this does not necessarily mean that these are the reasons that the model actually under the hood used in their decisions. And this is framed as a faithfulness problem, where when we talk about faithfulness, we mean that an explanation of a language model or an AI system, it should accurately reflect what is the model's actual meaning and what is its internal reasoning process. And the gap here would be that we receive explanations. For example, when you try to use a chatbot, it provides a very detailed chain of thought explanation of how it reached the conclusion of all the steps it used, but in the end, it might not be an accurate representation of its internal reasoning. Right, and this creates some illusion of trust phenomenon, where we could have a faithful explanation of an AI model, of an AI system, which reflects how the model actually made its decision, and we could have a plausible explanation on the other hand, but those do not necessarily live together. We have to make a certain effort to reach, to have both in the same place. When we talk about plausible explanation, it usually sounds convincing to the end user, and it can still be unrelated to what the model's internal reasoning was in the first place. Unfortunately, current AI explanation methods, they often optimize for plausibility. This is the way they are trained. They are trained to imitate human reasoning. So in the first place, they could try to imitate that and to seem plausible. They are also trained to seem that they are not employing any biases, for example, any racial biases or gender biases. And because this is the way they have been trained, they would not necessarily reveal these issues when we try to use explainability tools. And as an outcome, this can mislead the users, it can hide biases, and also violate regulatory requirements. And here is one example. One example is where we have an AI system, a model that predicts that a particular loan with some information about the user is high risk. And then we have an explanation that says that due to low credit score and high debt ratio, it has been a high risk. However, in reality, the model has used, for example, a zip code, which could be a proxy for a protected attribute for a location of the user in some area that could be high risk, for example, to be credited with a loan. And why this happens is, again, that models in the first place, they can confabulate, they can try to deceive, because they are in the first place trained to seem to be plausible and to seem to be avoiding biases in their decisions. And they are not optimized for faithfulness. With the new era of LLM-based explanations, where we see the free text that comes after a decision of a chatbot, for example, this becomes very hard to assess and to verify. And we'll see why in a bit. So here is one example from a task where the model has to say whether the hypothesis entails the premise, essentially whether it confirms what the premise says. We have a man wearing glasses and Turek costume is playing a Jaguar electric guitar, and we have a hypothesis, a man with glasses and a disheveled outfit is playing a guitar. And the prediction is that, yes, it confirms what the premise says, and the explanation explains that it considers that a ragged costume is also disheveled outfit. And in this case, what are natural language explanations? These are these explanations you can see here. They are free text, and they describe in human language why the model made its decision. There are two main types of natural language explanations. One is to predict, like here, we first predict and then try to generate an explanation. And the other is to first try to explain and then to predict what is the actual decision. Where the second type is what we know nowadays as chain of thought, or the reasoning models, or the chatbots that we use nowadays. And what are the advantages? The advantages are, of course, that these are human readable and intuitive, and they can also express complex reasoning, and they are also accessible to non-technical users. And now we'll have a look at how can we potentially address this faithfulness problem in explanations. First, of course, by measuring it, by seeing what is the extent of this issue in current language models, and then seeing whether we can come up with techniques to address the issue. First, when we talk about explanations, and just to understand why it's difficult to assess these language explanations nowadays, I will start with the predecessor of the language explanations, and these have been explanations that just provide highlights of the input, so which parts of the input are the most important. If you've heard of Shapley, of LIME, and other techniques that have been developed, these essentially say, for example, oh, this part of the input was the most important for the model's prediction. And how we can usually assess whether this was correct, we can remove this part and see if the model still preserves its prediction, right? So it's easy to see whether the model still uses this, or whether just using this important part, the model can still reach the same conclusion. While this is, of course, still a proxy, in explainability, the main challenge is that we don't actually have some ground truth to say this explanation is correct or not. We can't really pick inside the model's internal mechanisms, but we have to create some proxies. And this is the main issue that is even with the predecessors of language model explanations. What is the further challenge is that when we have language explanations like this, these include free text that is not even mentioned in the input. So we can't just remove parts of the input and see how this will influence the decision and how it will influence the language explanation. And it's not possible to apply existing proxy tools from highlight explanations. To provide a framework how to evaluate such language explanations, we can still work with manipulating inputs of the textual parts that we provide to the model and see whether the model changes its behavior and whether any stated reasons in the explanations could still be used to reach the same conclusion. So in essence, first insight is that when we have a particular input, we can add some causal factors and observe if the model's prediction output changes. And if it changes, then we can see if it also appears in the explanation. The main insight here is if we have a change in the model's behavior, this change should also be reflected in the explanation. And here is one example. If we have some sentiment classification, we have the food was okay, and then the model said, okay, this is a neutral sentiment statement. And then we add, but the service was terrible, and the model's behavior changes to negative 80% confidence. We expect that a faithful explanation would mention this part of the input, right? And of course, if it doesn't, then we say it's unfaithful. Another approach that we can test explanations, language explanations, is that we take the explanation, we try to see what are the reasons mentioned in the explanation and create a new input for the model only using those. And if the model still makes the same prediction, then we can say it's faithful. And here is one example. So here we have some, let's say, health platform that is using an AI system, and then we have some patient with symptoms and some test results, and the system reaches a conclusion that there is some high risk with this patient. The explanation that is generated is that it's high risk due to elevated biomarkers, and then we preserve only the biomarkers information in the input. Then we still expect the model to say that it's a high-risk diagnosis, and if it does not, then we say it's unfaithful. And based on these two ways of assessing faithfulness, which we can also ourselves try to test language models when we use them, we have found that there is a very large unfaithfulness gap in produced explanations. With the first test, we found 55% of explanations of language models have been unfaithful. And with the second test, we have found there is 40% unfaithfulness in the explanations. We have found that there is a varying result for datasets and models, so these should be tested on different applications separately. And also we have found that there is a different result from the different tests if we keep the same dataset and the same model, which means that these two tests are somehow complementary, then they should be employed together. And some follow-up work has also tried similar faithfulness tests on open source models like Llama, Mistral, Falcon, and GPT-2, and they also found very high rates of unfaithfulness that occurs there as well. Another example of how widespread this unfaithfulness issue in explanations is with the chain of thought paradigm. And here we have a question: is the following sentence plausible? And we have a question and two answer choices, and then we prompt the assistant to think step by step. So now we have two scenarios. We have two models. One model, for example, maybe in its history, maybe in its training data, it has been trained always to choose one of the options, irrespective of which one is correct. For example, it can choose always an option A. This is an unbiased explanation. The model chooses option B and it provides a certain explanation, which is plausible. And when we employ the biased model, which is trained or somehow in its context it has some information that it should always choose answer A, it still provides a very plausible explanation, right? But then it concludes with this choice of A. So the difference between the two is that the second model always will choose option A, but in their nature, the two explanations always are faithful, right? And with the second one, we'll never guess that the model has this bias encoded in its reasoning. And an even more recent exploration of certain frontier models. You can have a look at all the possible frontier models and the different traits of unfaithfulness that has been observed there as well. You can see it in different families. For example, in Anthropic or in OpenAI, there is a wide difference between the different models, but still in some of them, this issue is quite present. What does it mean in practice? So when we integrate explainability tools in certain libraries or in certain platforms, it means that we also need to provide such tests for explanations as well. So the fact that we have an explanation, it doesn't necessarily mean that we already are reaching transparency or that that explanation should be trusted necessarily. For users, this means that they shouldn't just generate explanations and trust them, but they should also try to validate them and not take everything readily. Of course, there is an opportunity to build transparency tools for research, for development, and also for regulation to consider this. That this is not a golden solution for transparency and trustworthiness. So we have also, of course, identifying such problems is the first step, and the second step is how to solve these problems as well. As I first mentioned, for these predecessors of language explanations, the highlight explanations, where we can either identify important words or phrases. For image systems, they can identify particular objects that are important, and for structured data, they could identify that are important. We can easily test whether these are faithful, whether these are correct and accurate with respect to the model reasoning or not. And they can also be developed so that they look into the model internals and they are extracted from particular mechanisms. Here you can see some more examples of different highlight explanations. And research has gone a long way since these have been first developed, and we have been actively developing newer ways of measuring and improving faithfulness for these particular types of explanations, for highlight explanations. So what we hypothesize is that going forward means that we can employ such more faithful or more verifiable types of explanations to lead what the language explanations should look like and should contain as well. And we have done this in two particular ways. One is we've tried to take these different highlight explanations and train the model when generating explanations to follow them. Another way we have done this is with self-refinement, which is a very common technique for frontier models. It has been identified that during multiple iterations we can, and you probably have also tried through multiple iterations to improve the output of the model, asking the chatbot or the language model to fix this or that issue. And we have try to see if we can also ask the model to self-critique, to provide feedback on its own explanation, and then to use that feedback to improve it in another round. What this looks like is we have a natural language explanation, and then we ask the model, can you now provide feedback on your own explanation? And then the model improves that explanations based on critique. And we have used two types of explanations. One has been through these highlight explanations as well. And here you can see one particular example. Again, for this type of task where one has to say whether the hypothesis entails the premise, we can see what the model answers, then we ask for an explanation, and then we ask the model to provide the most important words in its prediction, and then using this feedback, we ask the model to refine its initial explanation to include these most important words. If we do this multiple times, we can see that this can continue to improve, but the first round is actually the most successful one. So we can even do it in our daily use of language models if we want to check and optimize the explanation that they provide. And overall, this brings down unfaithfulness rates from 55% to 36%, but this is still a very high unfaithfulness rate, right? This is still 1/3 of the explanations that we see nowadays that are misleading. All right, and in a summary, we can work on improving the evaluation of faithfulness techniques in the first place, having such assessments in accompanying the tools that we develop and provide for explaining language models and AI systems in general. We can also intervene on the architecture and the training to make models more faithful to their internal reasoning, and then we can also easily use refinement in multiple iterations to make models more faithful to their internal reasoning. And there is a central role of highlight explanations that they have been they have provided a more faithful ground to develop language explanations in the first place, either during self-refinement or in the architecture. So one key takeaway could be that we still need to optimize and develop highlight explanations as well, and integrate them in the tools that we deploy for explaining models. What this means for regulatory considerations is that such evaluation frameworks of AI systems that they require that there is certain transparency and certain explainability beyond the models and their decision making. They should also include auditable metrics for explainability methods. Documentation is also, as this is one of the pillars of the AI Act, that we need also transparency in documentation. We need also transparency in how these explanations are also being provided, and what is their faithfulness in the first place. Right? And then what would be the path forward? While in the first place, we could say explanations are deceiving and they could create biases. They might not create the transparency and trustworthiness that we aim for. We don't need to abandon them, but work on improving them and making the public accountable and also educated on how to use them and what it means to have an explanation of a model's decision making in the first place. So in essence, different directions that we could work on as a community when using AI tools is to have standardize faithfulness benchmarks for explanation methods, either in research or also in development, how to choose one. This is also another problem, that we don't even know how to choose an explainability approach. So we really need such benchmarks of explanation methods. Another direction is to work on integration of different refinement frameworks, and this hasn't been a goal for developing current AI tools. Most efforts have been to address biases and other safety issues, but no effort has been directed towards faithfulness of explanations. And user studies are also needed, how unfaithful explanations could also affect the decision making, especially in those high-risk areas where the regulations want to include explanations. Priority over plausibility is something that is, of course, very important. And finally, the regulatory frameworks and educating users that there needs to be a difference and distinguishment between faithful and unfaithful explanations. Yeah, so this is more or less it, and I would open for questions. Yes.
Okay, sorry. How can we, is there an explanation actually for the very different level of unfaithfulness observed among the different models? Is it in the training data? Is it how we train them? And is there a way to, in the training, make sure that we reduce this level of unfaithfulness?
So my hypothesis is that, but I would say that there has been enough efforts from research to understand the actual reasons behind this, but the overall understanding is that the way we train the models is why we see the explanations they provide, because we train them on text that seems plausible, and it has to follow certain logical patterns. We also now have included so many post-training fine-tuning steps where the models are optimized not to employ any biases, but which is also post-training optimization. It does not remove the problem, but it could just hide it, right? So all these different steps that we train the models, they learn to hack the rewards or the training objectives. They learn how to imitate well human language and reasoning to seem plausible, but the question is what kind of objectives we also need, so that in the first place, when we develop such models, we can gain models that are also faithful, right? I think this is a very important problem.
Thanks a lot for the excellent talk. For a really nice topic. Just maybe a follow-up on the previous question, just to be sure I understand. If we introduce faithfulness in the evaluation of the result and then in the training of the system, as you defined it, I'm not sure I completely understood how we can still be sure that the systems are not just getting better at confabulating and they are actually moving to learning faithfulness. Sorry, I didn't understand that step.
All right, so maybe I should say that there is always a danger that models could get more intelligent than us, that we are not able to do oversight and see when they actually confabulate and try to deceive and hide their internal reasoning, right? I'm not excluding that there is such a scenario in the future. Of course, this sounds a bit like, futuristic, but still, there is no way we can guarantee 100% that they won't try to deceive us, right? But what we can try to do is explore the different mechanisms that are employed, right? And make sure these mechanisms are maybe removed, or that we also include optimization objectives for faithfulness itself. So they're different. This is the same as biases, right? Biased models, we now train the models to not explore biases, but maybe they're just good at hiding them, right? So it is possible that we won't be sure that the models are actually, right, one step ahead and trying to deceive us. But we can, of course, do our best at research and development to be transparent about what kind of objectives we use, because sometimes the objectives, we don't even know what some of the large language model developers are using, right? So in the first place, we need to be transparent about objectives, about the training data, and think how we can include faithfulness there as well. And this also goes into a further topic I didn't want to touch, but maybe it's natural, that faithfulness is just one small piece from a larger puzzle that we have seen with models trying to hack rewards, optimize for rewards, just so that they have high performance, but not actually doing the task. That models are good at deceiving, or maybe when we also talk about multiple agents working in groups, they are good at deceiving and building groups that deceive others, right? So there is a very broad and large area that faithfulness is only a small part of. And maybe it could solve other issues as well, but maybe it's good to work in collaboration with, in this area, in overall. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering, does the self-refinement strategy that you presented, is it powerful or capable of detecting the problem with the model that was biased to always reply A plus an explanation? What does it do when you run self-refinement on this? Can you...
Yeah, so this is a good question, and we didn't actually try it for data because here we work with the type of explanations that first produce prediction, then try to explain, and the problem with the bias is in the other chain of thought has been explored for that type of explanation. But the main problem with that part, this issue where, let me show the example once again. You're referring to this example, right? So the main issue with this example is that models are not even possible to articulate this type of bias. So they have not even seen in the training data such types of explanations or reasoning that, oh, but everywhere the answer was A, so I should also answer with A here, right? So the problem is that we don't even have this type of data in our data sets in the first place. And this was the biggest issue addressing this type of bias. I have to still see if it works with the refinement method and with highlight explanations though.
Thank you for your talk. Is there a line of research that is focusing of trying to find correlations between the white box explanation methods and the black box one? For example, a model may say that it used some words to answer, and then you check if, in terms of activation and so on, those words were actually used.
Yeah. In terms of activations, this is more the area of interpretability, right? So you're asking whether there is some work between explainability and interpretability, and I think there is no yet. I think there is some work that has explored when models don't know the answer, that because this is also a common pitfall that even when models don't know an answer, they will still try to generate something. And there has been only work in that area to actually address this mechanistically in the activations to detect when the model doesn't know the answer so that you don't look at what it has generated. Yeah, but not more than that. Yeah, it would be very interesting to do this kind of work.
Well, okay, so apparently I'm always the one that speaks too much, but I have just a little comment on what you say. Very interesting to see this analysis on understanding whether an explanation really follows what the black box is actually using in getting to the result. But when you are looking in high-risk models, personally, as a user, I'm not really interested in knowing whether the explanation is faithful. I'm interested in knowing whether the result is correct. So correctness is different than faithfulness of the explanation, right? And when you are in a high-risk situation, usually you have either regulations or rules that should be followed. So I would like to know if you have seen any work trying to see whether a model is able to create an explanation that can be checked against a set of rules. One example I have in mind is, you remember alpha geometry, not this one that creates a theorem, etc. You have the geometry axiom, you can check whether it is a result or not. Did you see any work in this direction or for these large language models?
No, unfortunately, not really. And I agree that it could be different needs that the users could have. And yeah, this work of faithfulness is more broad, and at least I haven't looked at more high-risk areas, also because maybe they don't necessarily explore large language models and maybe frontier developments, frontier models, right? Yeah, but the problem, yeah, I think it's also important to educate users, right? Because they they might misinterpret some predictions of the model, right? If they try to understand it, they could say, oh, this makes sense, right? But maybe the model was still looking at some biases, maybe some gender, like in health applications. Like I could imagine maybe gender or some other features would be important. But I still think it's important to educate even in those cases, because even the models there and maybe the explanations that you would provide there, maybe they are not language explanations, they are highlight explanations. There has been research that has looked at these can be fooled as well, that you can create models that have such activations that would never show biases in the model. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation. I think it's the last question, I would say. Given that they give me the micro, sorry, otherwise we can have it in the break. I was wondering if we can accommodate privacy or like confidentiality, depending, I have an entity where I have an organizational structure where not everybody has access to the same type of information. So transparency could not be applied for everybody in the same way. Could I think of accommodating this trust and with respect to different degrees of level information I have access in order to provide explanations, different explanation to different level of users? Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting problem. It's definitely an area of research that looks into how to actually explain something that could also have privacy issues. But I haven't looked into this, and I don't think there is existing work that also looks into faithfulness in those cases, which I think would be very important and interesting as well, to make sure that you can actually explain, but in a private way. Yeah. Thank you.